Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 3 of our Accounting 101 or our Introduction to Accounting class. Today we're going to talk about some principles and assumptions that we need to understand, and they lay the groundwork for how we record transactions, the different options that we have, and just essentially the assumptions that we rely on when we prepare our accounting statements and we go through the accounting process. So when it comes to measurement principles, we're going to look at two separate measurement principles. The first one is the historical cost principle. So when it comes to historical cost, this says that everything that we are recording is recorded at historical cost. So if I go out and I purchase a property for $200,000, I put that property on my books at $200,000 because that's my historical cost. That's what I paid for it. Okay. Then we also have the fair value principle. And the fair value principle says, well, yes, maybe we paid $200,000 for this property, but this property is actually worth $350,000 now. And so it doesn't provide a real fair value of the business if it sits on the books at $200,000. So we would rather put it at $350,000. So these two principles kind of are in disagreement with each other oftentimes. They will not meet or match exactly. And so we have to determine what principle we're going to follow for various transactions. And in GAAP accounting, GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. GAAP is our standard in the US. So in GAAP accounting, we look at two different kind of concepts. We look at relevance and we look at faithful representation. So we look at relevance, and relevance essentially says, okay, what information is actually relevant to the decision maker? Are we wanting to tell them historical cost, or if we give them the fair value, is that going to change their decision making? And if so, how does it change that decision making? Okay, so how does that decision making change when we use the historical cost principle or the fair value principle? And then we look at faithful representation. So are we truly representing an accurate financial picture? Obviously, looking at the historical cost, that property being listed at $200,000 versus $350,000, that's a big difference. And that may have relevance for decision makers, but we also want to make sure that we are faithfully representing that information. In general, GAAP almost always uses historical cost. And the reason being is that fair value is very subjective. Okay, so I have had clients, for example, in small businesses, and we've gotten, different appraisals on various properties or on various businesses. And we've had appraisers come and they've appraised one property for $3.6 million. And then a different appraisal will come in at $2 million. And you'll see that sometimes. Yeah, that's a huge difference. But that had to do with zoning regulations and a bunch of other stuff. So in general, we stick with historical cost just because we have an actual transaction that we can rely on to support the value that we are representing on those books. Fair value comes into play in GAAP accounting for things like assets that are held for resale. And there's different times that we're allowed to use fair value in GAAP accounting. And I'll discuss those times in later videos. They're a little bit complex. So in general, we always use historical cost. Now, if you have a company, for example, a small business, and that company is planning on selling, they may want to be able to provide some information about the fair value of the property that business owns. And they can absolutely do that through things like appraisals, through disclosures on financial statements. So those financials may show historical cost, but then they may have different disclosures or supplements that show appraisals on different property. Like, yes, we purchased this property for $200,000, but here's information that shows that this property has been appraised at $350,000. Here's comparables in the area, that kind of thing. So in general, we use historical cost, but as a small business owner, you may find yourself utilizing fair value concepts with statements and attachments and that kind of stuff to historically or reports prepared with the historical cost principle. But you just attach those. So in general, we always use historical cost, but occasionally in GAAP, we're allowed to use fair value. For small businesses, those fair value exceptions generally don't occur. You don't see that unless you go into a public accounting situation, or you're dealing with large publicly traded companies. Generally, small businesses or medium-sized businesses just use historical cost when it comes to the actual preparation of financial statements. However, fair value will come into play with supplements and that kind of stuff. Okay, so those are our measurement principles. Let's talk about two different assumptions that we need to have. When we prepare financials and we, perform accounting duties, we have the monetary unit assumption, which says we are assuming everything we're recording has some form of dollar assignment. We're able to assign a monetary unit value to that. In the US, we assign US dollars. So we want to be able to assign a monetary unit. If we can't assign a monetary unit, then generally that transaction is not recorded. A good example would be a small business. It grows and it's going to build a client list, right? The value of that client list does not sit on the financial statements of that business. And I have a lot of business owners that get confused about this. They're like, well, my business should show the value of my client list. That's an asset. And you can go out and you can sell those client lists in a lot of scenarios. So yes, it is something of value. The issue is that we don't have a reliable way of valuing that and assigning a US dollar value to it. So we just don't record it on the financials. Now, if somebody buys that business and they assign money to the client list, then the buyer of those assets may record goodwill on their books and assign a value of those assets that they purchased and say, okay, well, we purchased a client list for this amount. But we only see that when another entity purchases either another entity or the assets of another entity. So that's when we see it, during a purchase. But in general, we use the monetary unit assumption to say, if we didn't buy it for a specific dollar amount, we're probably not going to record it. Okay? Keeping in mind that when you look at the financials of a small business, the value on those financials is not necessarily 100% accurate. Okay? And I'll get into that later. A lot of people assume that when they look at the balance sheet, for example, of a business, that it tells you the value of that business, and that's just not the case. It provides an estimate based on items that we are able to assign monetary units to and the historic cost of transactions. So oftentimes when we look at the balance sheet, that is a very, very limited starting point to the value of the business. Okay? And then the other assumption that we have is the economic entity assumption. This says we are doing accounting for one single economic entity. This economic entity is separate from its owners. It is separate from its vendors and its customers. It is its own little person. Okay, so think of a company as its own person. It is its own person, and if we are assigning, financial data to it, we are only going to assign the data associated with that particular entity. And it is separate from its owners, which means that the transactions and the expenses and the revenue that are assigned to the owners of that business are for the owners, not for the actual business itself. Okay, so if I own a business, but I also have a W-2 job, my business books are only going to record the money coming into my business. They're not going to record the money that I'm receiving for my W-2 job. It's the economic entity assumption. We are recording transactions for a single economic entity, and it is separate from its owners and from its vendors and its customers. So those are the principles and the assumptions that we are going to use as we move through and we start looking at our accounting journey and we learn how to do the bookkeeping and the recording and all of that. These are true and they're always true. You know, sometimes you'll have something that's not the historical cost, but we adjust it to fair market value. But we live by these principles and these assumptions because if we don't, then we can't compare and we can't rely on those financial statements because there's no, guidelines or standards by which they're prepared. So if you have any questions, please let me know. This is lesson 3 of a course that we have posted in our Skool group. The Skool group link is in the description, and if you have not joined, we would love to see you there. Next lesson will be lesson 4, and we'll talk about the different types of economic entities that we have. I will see you guys then. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.